I can't believe I have actually gone 6 months. I have never in my 5 years of owning plants been able to go 6 months without buying plants. Buying plants is an addiction. Growing a collection can be addictive. I didn't think I would ever actually be able to stick to a plant ban. Ever. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we've got the very wide angle lens on right now so you can see both what I'm doing and myself, because we're going to be doing a repot and chat where I talk about how I've not bought plants for 6 months. The plant ban worked. I did a plant ban and it worked, which is really, really strange for me. I've never before had a plant ban that did work. So I want to talk to you about like what I did that helped, what I've learned from this, and probably some anecdotes along the way. But yeah, that's what we're in for today. And I'm going to do that while I'm repotting some plants. I've just got several things here that I'm going to be switching around in semi-hydro because I've run out of soil at this point and I need to get some more in. And we're just going to do some semi-hydro planting today. So yeah, before we get into it, I just want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplant content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanting journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate it. Let's get into this. So, where to start? I think I'll start with the ones that are already in semi-hydro that I'm going to keep in semi-hydro. Also, I've got notes here, which I'm just gonna open up to, because like I really thought about this and wanted to figure out exactly what I was gonna say, because this has been like quite an incredible feat for me. I have never, ever done something like this before. I haven't been able to actually crack the code of being on a plant ban, and so I feel very proud of myself for getting this far. So let us start unpotting some stuff. The first one I'm gonna do, basically I think I just want to upsize this one because it is hella rooted in here. This is a Hoya australis Lisa and it's growing so well. Look at those leaves. They're so much fun. So I'm just gonna, I think, upsize to maybe one of these because they're one size bigger. I think that would be good. So, ooh, is that what I want? Yeah. I don't know if that's what I want. Sorry, give me a moment. I like pulled a bunch of stuff out and I don't know if I have the pots for all of it. Okay, I mean, I must have something living in one of my bottom pots for this, so I only have one at this size at this time, which is absolutely fine. It'll be fine, but I'll put it in this size because I think it'll like it. It's either that or I put this guy in, and I feel like the begonia might be a better shot because they're a lot faster growing for me than Hoya are. Yeah, let's do the begonia. That makes more sense. And I'm pretty sure this one's like incredibly, disgustingly overrooted as well. I think I'm gonna have to do some root pruning on this even, because they're just so, like, I'm not gonna be able to get all of this through the tiny little holes. Anyways, it's not about that, really. I'm just doing something with my hands while I am talking about this. But, basically, the last time that I bought plants was late October 2023, which was 6 months ago. I think it was the 27th, so 6 months ago this coming weekend, and I'm not currently planning on buying plants between now and this weekend. I mean, if something drastically changes, sorry, but I have done well enough at this time where I'm counting it as 6 months, maybe a little bit early, but I definitely count it. Oh my god. Holy cow, this is so... It's like a block. Okay. So the thing is, I know I said I haven't bought plants during this time, and I haven't. I also haven't done any sort of collabs with brands where they're giving me plants for free. I have actually turned some of those down. I know I am genuinely quite proud of myself for turning some things down during that time, just because I didn't want to, like, not that the plant ban was having anything to do with, like, it was more to do with buying than it was with anything else, but it just didn't feel right to be going and doing a haul, like a big haul, when I was committed to not spending the money on plants at the same time. So I didn't do any sort of big hauls or collaborations with shops during this time. My last haul of the year, it was in November time. Those were the plants I purchased at the end of October, and I posted that video in November to promote the Black Friday sale, which I totally am okay with, but I bought those in October, and I haven't bought anything since, so I feel like I have done pretty well in that department. Pretty crazy. That isn't to say that I haven't received new plants. I have gotten some new plants during this time. Most of them were in swaps though. I have done a decent amount of swapping during this time, and I have also received a couple things as gifts from viewers, and I like massively, hugely, highly appreciate those. And like, I feel like I can't turn you guys down. Like, it just, like, it warms my heart that y'all even think about me enough to want to send me stuff. So, like, I can't say no when someone wants to send me stuff. It just, it warms my little heart. So, I have gotten plants during this time, but none of them were purchased. I didn't spend any money on plants, and I didn't do any, like, proper big collaborations with people about plants. So, I should also say I try to do this every single year, and I have never succeeded before. I have not a single time had success in not buying plants over the course of the winter months. I normally try and do this whole plant ban thing during the winter months because the weather in the UK is pretty shite. I mean, it's pretty shite today, honestly, and also, I've got my softbox, I've got my light on in here so you're able to see me and what I'm doing. So the weather's pretty bad. It has been really, really cold this winter and most winters, and so I don't want to be getting plants and risking them necessarily having issues in the post. I'm also trying to save money during this time because I tend to buy lots of plants during the spring and summer months, and I would like just much rather spend more money then and less money in the winter months than try and spend an even amount throughout the entire year. I feel like that would just end up with me spending loads and loads of money. And so in previous years, I haven't been able to succeed in my plant ban because I've gotten opportunities that I basically felt like I couldn't refuse. So in 2022, that winter, it was my Philodendron Glorious, which I do not regret that for a single second. I am so, so glad that I have my Philodendron Glorious. And then last year in 2023, I bought some plants from a friend who was getting rid of their whole collection. They were dealing with mental health issues, and just it was becoming quite a burden for them, and they were just selling off their whole collection. And so I got some plants off of them because they were fairly reasonably priced and they were things that I really wanted. So one was a variegated heartleaf philodendron and the other was a Syndapsis leopard, which I have both still, and I'm very glad that I got those as well. So I don't regret that purchase either. But I made that purchase in January of 2023, promptly screwing over my my plant ban. So surprisingly, I don't know if I haven't gotten the offer this year that I couldn't refuse or what, but I just haven't felt like I needed to get any of these plants. Also, these roots are really annoying. They're like growing through the wick, because I use a microfiber wick in these pots, and so I just need to break it off. And I should probably dry this out and try and remove all these roots because they're gross. But we're still extremely rooted in here, not an issue. But I think it'll be perfect to go up a pot size. Yeah, I haven't gotten an offer this year that I felt like I couldn't. Oh my god, this is too heavy. Too heavy for one hand. Holy cow. This past weekend I did like a massive pond boiling session because I had a bunch that needed to be boiled, and so I have like an entire full box, easily at least 10 liters of semi-hydro in here that I need to get using. I think also one of the reasons that I end up caving in like January or February time with getting new plants is that I have a bit of the seasonal depression. I really struggle over the winters here, especially in the UK. It's dark and it's cold and it's wet and like I can't go outside, I don't see the sun enough. It's just not necessarily a great time for me. And so I get a bit of that seasonal depression that comes around and I'm like, what will make me feel better? You know what? Plants will. So it just feels easier to cave. And I'm not saying that this winter wasn't dismal and I didn't get seasonal depression, because I did. I always do. But I think instead of going on and purchasing things, I just didn't. And that sounds really weird. And like, it's easier said than done, but I definitely, like, there were times when I logged on to some like plant seller websites. There's a few that I have a pretty regular look at, and I would go on there and I'd like fill a whole cart up and I'm like, this will be fun. And then instead of going and checking out, I'm like, okay, cool, I will save these. I like screenshot my cart for when the spring comes around and I know it'll be nicer weather and like better to ship plants in, and I'll screenshot it so I know what I wanted for later, and then I end up just closing the tab and the cart disappears, which I think is a pretty freaking good skill. I don't know how I managed to master that, but I just figure the plants will still be there in the spring. There's nothing that I won't be able to get come spring. And I think that is why I broke in previous years, because there were things that I didn't think I could get otherwise, which at the time you couldn't get a glorious anywhere. And with the ones last year, they were ones from someone's personal collection that I literally would not be able to get from a shop. And so it just felt like it was now or never with those, which it's rarely ever now or never with plants, but sometimes it is. And that is how I justified it in previous years. And I do think those are valid, but I didn't have a chance this year to have something that was like now or never. I need to get it immediately. Otherwise I will miss this opportunity and I won't be able to get it come spring. Okay, so this one is done. I'm gonna give these all water, some fertilizer water actually, because none of this has the fertilizer in it anymore because I have boiled it or sanitized the semi-hydro, and so it doesn't have that. Next, I think I want to do this one. My little variegated Alocasia gaggiana. It's doing so well. Look at that leaf. It's so pretty, and it's got some decent roots on here. They're not perfect or anything. So I'm just feeling that because it felt a little bit mushy. It's not. I think it's just a bit slimy from being in water. But I'm going to put this in one of the this size pots. Very proper English there. The this size pots. I should also say that I think it massively helped that I do have a decent size collection at the moment. I had before going into this plant ban, like 200 plus plants, which is kind of a lot. Probably too many plants. I was definitely finding it quite overwhelming, and so I really wanted to actually downsize my collection in 2024. And so I started thinking very critically about which plants I cared about, which plants I really, really wanted, which plants I could not live without in my collection. And so while I was doing all of that thinking, also just removed that all white leaf. While I was doing that critical thinking about the plants in my collection, it got a lot harder to justify making purchases on plants that either I wasn't sure that I was going to absolutely love, or I don't know, it just gets a lot harder when you're like really critically thinking about your plants and what is making you happy and what you're loving. It's hard to justify saying, oh, I'm gonna get this new one when there's ones in your collection then that you're not loving as much at all. So I think that definitely really helped. And also, because part of the reason I wanted to downsize was that I was overwhelmed, adding more plants to that was probably not a good idea, because that was just going to lead to more overwhelm, more things that I felt like I needed to do immediately, which I know I don't have to do anything immediately ever in plants, really, except like pest control. But even then, sometimes I just put that off a little bit. I know it's bad. But like, I didn't want to add more things to my plate that would just add to my sort of plant burnout, plant overwhelm that was really, really getting to me at the end of last year. I was really, really struggling with feeling like there was too much going on. I was sulfur treating everything, which was like a huge, huge task. And I was dealing with pests, and I was just done. I did not want to be doing that anymore, and the thought of adding more plants to my collection when I was struggling to take care of the ones I had already was like, why would I do that to myself? It just did not seem like a healthy, logical thing to do. And so I think that helped massively. Also, just in general, having a lot of plants, there's not that many that I have on my wish list. I do still have a plant wish list. I don't think I'm ever gonna not have a plant wish list, but I think that just being a little bit more critical about buying those plants on the wish list, or like trying to get them for really good deals or something instead of just buying them at the first chance you get, helped. But yeah, having a big collection where I already have a lot of the plants that I have previously wanted also was really great, and allowed me to not feel like I needed to get as many as you might do if you had a smaller collection. So that is a privilege of having a lot of plants. It does get easier to not buy more because you have a lot already, and you have most of the ones that you can like find commonly online. So that did help quite a bit. Just unpotting my Schismatoglottis Silver Borneo now. And I think I'm also gonna put this one in this size pot. Because that makes the most sense for me. And with having a big collection, I really wanted to focus on keeping the plants that I have in my collection happy and healthy and growing bigger, and focusing on growing my collection in size rather than growing my collection in numbers or like quantity. And that helped quite a lot as well. Because I have a whole lot of plants and I want to see them all growing really well, and I want them to be succeeding and growing big. I've been trying to grow lots of plants big, and I've not really ever been able to, and I don't know if that is because I have just been like, I kept buying plants, and so I was never able to properly focus on the ones that I had already, or what, but I feel like that is probably one of the reasons why it just never really worked out. But lately I've been feeling like I actually can grow things bigger, And even though it's been wintertime, things have still been growing quite well for me. And I think part of that might be because I've just been a little bit more on top of my plant care in general and making sure that things are happy, and if they're having any issues, to address them quickly before they get to be too serious. Or like too big of an issue where I have to like do some crazy work on them in order for them to get back to health. Okay, guys, this one's done so well. So this one has actually been in my pond box for quite a long time. I got this on an import last year and it was struggling for a little while, but I put it in my pond box and it is now doing phenomenally. But I think I need to take it out of there now. Or I mean, I've just potted it into a proper self-watering pot, so I'm going to take it out of there, but probably put it in my Mills bow because that makes the most sense and is the highest humidity of all the different humidity places I have. So that's there. That's cute there. Okay, next I want to do my begonia, is it Lacunera? I think it's Lacunera, I think that's what you told me it was. My Lacunera propagations. I've just had them in water and they are hella rooted. I mean, not hella rooted, but hella rooted enough for me to pot them up. So, oh no. Ah, that's sad. One of them had a new growth point and the new leaf came off. But that's what you get for using a jar with a bottleneck. And I'm gonna put these in one of these self-watering pots, the Elho ones, because it is quite big. I expect this one to grow pretty rapidly because it is quite big already and fairly well established as a plant. So I do also think that willpower plays quite a big role in being able to successfully do a plant ban. And I think I do have a decent amount of willpower. I don't know where exactly I learned it. I feel like you need to learn willpower. You can't, like, it's hard to practice, but in general in my life, I feel like I have a decent skill for it. I can like push myself to do things that I don't necessarily want to be doing, but like for my own good. And so having the willpower to close that tab is a big part of it, because it would also be just as easy to just press buy now and carry on and get the plants. But then I would have like ruined all of my hard work. So just like sometimes I just set my mind to something and kind of force myself to succeed in it. I know that isn't what you necessarily want to hear, because obviously this is a difficult thing and I can't really teach willpower, but a lot of it is willpower, unfortunately, and just working towards that goal and pressing yourself to make that, making it an actual priority in your life is huge. Because if it's not a priority, then you'll think, oh well, I'll just screw it, let's go buy plants. And so having the willpower from making it a priority definitely helps me in it. You can also avoid putting yourself in situations where you could lose that willpower. So things like not going to plant shops. I avoided going to plant shops. I think I went to like 1 or 2 in the time that I was on my plant ban. And so I didn't feel the like severe need to buy plants because they weren't right in front of me. When you increase that barrier to entry, that helps a lot in having the willpower. This can also take the form of unsubscribing from a plant shop email newsletters. That is a huge one. I know, like, whenever I was tempted to buy plants, it's because I was like, oh, Grow Tropicals is having a sale on right now, or like House of Kojo, or Eastern Tropicals, or whatever. Whoever my favorite plant shop is having a sale right now. Like, go look, or like, they've just restocked. See what's new in. And I would go on and be like, ooh, this is nice, this is nice. And then I'd have to have the willpower to say, no, Emma, don't buy this, close the window at the end. And so if you take yourself off of those email lists, you're gonna be less likely to get that like process rolling in the first place, because you won't have had the like trigger to go and buy stuff. And like, email marketing is email marketing for a reason. Like, people spend money on email marketing because it works. You see that your favorite plant shop is having a sale, you go to their shop and you buy stuff, because like, that is the trigger to doing the thing. So in order to not fall down that hole, take away that first trigger and remove yourself from the email list. That doesn't mean you can't sign up to them again, like come spring or summer, or when your plant ban is over. But for the time being, when you are on your plant ban, I find it helps so much to just not even have the possibility of getting those emails, because those are what got me closest to buying plants during this time. And I didn't cancel those subscriptions, I think because I have gotten to the point where I can stop myself. But if you know that once you've made a cart you're gonna buy stuff, don't allow yourself to be tempted to make the cart in the first place. So stop at the beginning rather than stopping at the end. And slowly it'll get easier and easier, that when you do make a cart, you'll be like, oh, actually, I don't actually need these. And you don't end up clicking buy now or whatever. So get off of those email lists. Also, stay out of like Facebook groups and stuff. I'm not really in any plant sale Facebook groups anymore these days. I don't really go on Facebook at all these days. And I don't really see the same sort of situations arising on Instagram where there's a group of people who are like selling stuff locally. And so it's not really been an issue for me, but I know those Facebook groups are a great place to get plants for lower prices. So if you know you'll be tempted by that, leave the Facebook group. You can always rejoin, or like even just turning off notifications for them, that would even help a lot, or not going on Facebook altogether, because I don't know what one actually does on Facebook these days if you're not in like a houseplant group. I don't know. Let me know if you know. So that's that one done, and I'll put it in a cash pot after this. I've got them all in a cupboard, but oh my goodness, look how big this begonia is. It's crazy, and it's rooted so well. I didn't put this one deep enough, unfortunately. Don't know if that's going to be an issue. Hopefully not, but it's rooted so quickly. So done very well. I think there was just one more that I wanted to do, and it's actually transferring one from soil. So gonna just clear this stuff up really quick so I can just dump soil out on the counter. Give me 1 second. And I actually want to be repotting my Schismatic Willichii, because I have all my other Schismatic in semi-hydro, and I've found that it just like works so well for them, because they're so freaking thirsty, that it just makes a lot of sense. Sorry, this leaf was coming off anyway. You can see it's chunked open there. Sorry, my camera battery died, and I know I did just repot this one, I think last summer, but I feel like it would just like it better if it had more access to water. And I have been much better about keeping this one moist, but it would just prefer it if it had even more. So let's put it in some semi-hydro. And while I do, I can talk about how I kind of fueled my addiction, or like fulfilled the compulsion to buy plants, because it is a little bit of an addiction. Buying plants is an addiction. Growing a collection can be addictive, and it can feel like you just have to do this. And I think social media definitely promotes it a little bit, and I'm sure watching my haul videos doesn't help, or watching videos about plants that I have that I really love doesn't help. So sorry if I am fueling your addiction a little bit, but how I was able to like fulfill that need while I was on my no-buy was through doing swaps. And I'm very lucky in that I have like plant friends that, like Claire, who I can swap with, who I'm able to get plants from for free. That doesn't cost me, that doesn't cost them, and we can trade things. That definitely helps, and it's a free option essentially, and it's great because I'm also trying to downsize, so I can like give them a bunch of things that I'm not feeling anymore, and then get new things that I want to try, or that are wish list plants or something like that. So it's a great way to kind of get things without buying things. You can also go to plant swaps. I've been to 3 this year. I've run 3. I actually only swapped at one of them, the Birmingham one, and that was great. I was able to get rid of a few things. I ended up getting like something like a giant dubia, which is crazy. So there's ways to get plants for free that kind of fill that void a little bit of buying plants, because we all know that like dopamine rush you get when you like have some plant mail. It feels good to open a package and have new plants. I know it does. I believe it does. It just feels great. And swapping was the way I was able to do that whilst not spending the money, which it worked. I was able to get some wish list plants during this time, like my Euphorbia lactea Ghost. That one, I have some variegated Christmas cactus cuttings, or Thanksgiving cactus cuttings, and those were wish list plants. I've got a couple variegated alocasias, including this one here, that I was able to get during this time. So like, I'm still able to fulfill things on my wish list, just not through buying them, through finding them instead. So while I said don't be in like Facebook buying groups, you could be in Facebook swapping groups if you don't have like plant friends that you know of in your area. That's a good way to find some. There are just purely swapping groups. I know they're out there, and they're usually like local, so you're able to find people near you that are able to swap, or just making friends through Instagram. That's how I was able to do a good chunk of my swaps. I'm also really lucky in that I was gifted some plants from you, like I said, and I am like eternally grateful that that was the case, because I just feel so lucky. But the plant community is just so kind and generous that I feel like you don't need to be a like name or like an influencer or someone who makes like lots of content in order to get free things from people. I send out free plants to people. I am actually going to be doing a video probably later this week about plants I'm trying to downsize right now. So some of those I'd be willing to give to people for free. Or just like, people are nice and they just send stuff. If there's stuff that they have a lot of and that you don't have, they're like, it's possible to figure out things like that, or a swap for a pot or a piece of art or something like that, like a non-monetary swap. It's all doable. The soil is like really packed in here, and I know it needed to be because this is like a very moisture loving plant, but it is kind of difficult to get out of the root ball. I might just have to properly shower this one. Another thing that I think I found quite helpful to get me to not spend is keeping very detailed records of my plant spending. So I do have to keep records of everything I spend for this as a business anyways. But I have started holding myself accountable to all of you in addition to the tax man, by literally disclosing how much I'm spending on plants and when I'm spending that money. And so y'all know if I break my plant ban. Y'all will know, and not as I hold me accountable, but like the shame I might feel for having not succeeded in my plant ban kind of outweighs the desire to buy new plants, because like I just don't want to disappoint y'all, and I know y'all will be disappointed and you'll probably validate me buying plants, but like just having that accountability there, that like extra system and check, it does really, really, really help. And so maybe if you don't need to record all of your plant spending for a reason like taxes, maybe record it and set a budget with yourself and your partner or a friend who can help hold you accountable, that you need to like report to when you buy new plants, or that you need to tell at the end of the month how much you spent on the plants. So then you have to not only feel like internal shame, you might actually get some external shame as well. I'm not saying to ask your friends to shame you, because I don't think they like want to necessarily, but it can help. And I definitely feel quite proud of myself for being able to say that I have gone this long without buying plants. Like, I can't believe I have actually gone 6 months. I have never in my 5 years of owning plants been able to go 6 months without buying plants, which is incredible. I think that is so surreal, and I didn't think I would ever actually be able to stick to a plant ban, ever. And originally I was only going to do this plant ban until the beginning of April, but it's now the end of April, and I don't know if I feel the desire to buy new plants or not. I don't know. I genuinely do not know whether or not I want to spend money on plants. Part of me is thinking like, ooh, should I try and go for a year? Do you think I can make it for a year? I really don't know. I really feel like I really want to do a haul video. I love doing haul videos for all of you. I find them really fun. I like getting new plants and sharing that excitement with all of you and sharing like what shops have. I really enjoy that. And so it is quite difficult to not do these haul videos over the winter time when I am on my plant bans normally. But at the same time, do I feel like I need new plants? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe y'all should vote in the comments. What do you think I should do? If you want me to buy plants and do haul videos, put a plant emoji. And if you want me to stick to my plant ban and see if I can go for 12 months without buying plants, put the vault emoji, the bank emoji, the lock emoji, whatever this emoji is. I need to find, I think that there must be a vault emoji. So put this emoji in the comments if you think I should stick to it and try and keep going for another 6 months to see if I can make it to 12 months without buying any plants. I genuinely never in a million years thought that that would even be a possibility that I would think about while I was collecting plants. Like, I would get it if I stopped collecting and then like, yeah, don't buy plants for 12 months. Well, you're not collecting plants. Makes sense. But while I'm collecting, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just seems absolutely outrageous that that is even a possibility. So I have got most of the soil off, but I am gonna pop to the kitchen really quick and just rinse out these roots as best as I can. Try and get as much of this organic matter out as possible, because it's kind of just like stuck in the middle, and I really feel like adding water in there will help make it a little bit easier to get it out. So BRB, and oh, there's literally, oh my gosh, it's not a death plug because obviously the roots are fine, but definitely was originally grown from a plug. No wonder the roots are so, like, densely packed in here. At least it's like the more biodegradable kind. I can kind of just rip it apart. Not the plastic mesh. But it's still quite annoying. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna go rinse these off. So, be right back. Okay, that was like way harder than I thought it was gonna be. But I think I got most of it off. There's still some bits of darkness in there, but such is life. It is how it is. And my two options for pots are this one or that one. And I feel like the bigger one makes more sense for this plant because it is quite a large plant leaf-wise. So I think I'm gonna go with the bigger one. Shove that out the way. Oh yeah, I was talking about holding myself accountable monetarily and how much that helps. It really, really, really freaking does help. And I think part of it is also that, like, if you're seeing a number physically go down, like, it doesn't hurt, but like you can feel it a little bit more than when you're just like tapping with your card or pressing checkout now with your credit card information in. Like, that doesn't feel like you're buying things because like you don't feel the numbers. You might see the numbers in your bank going down, but not nearly the same as if you were like handing someone a 20-pound note or like 100 pounds. That feels way different than if you're buying with card. And so if you set yourself a budget and you like actually have to like mark it off or like say minus however much that you spent on the plant, like you can feel it a little bit more, and it kind of discourages me from actually making that step and pressing purchase, because I know I'm gonna have to like be accountable for that. And not that you don't have to be accountable for money if you're not paying attention to it, you do. But it just feels more accountable when you're having to like physically mark it off that you've spent this amount, or like seeing that negative number going into your account saying like minus whatever you spent on the plant. Also, sorry, no, you can't see me at all, but you don't need to. I'm just going to finish this one off, and then I think that is where I'm going to stop repotting for the day, just because those are all the things that I have pulled for repotting into semi-hydro. So yeah, while it's something that I am incredibly proud of, I still struggle a little bit to explain how I accomplished getting it done in 6 months. These are just some thoughts about what's made it easier for me and how I've been thinking about it. I have definitely learned that I don't need to be buying plants every month. I don't need to be adding new ones to my collection all the time in order to feel satisfied. It does help a little bit with my plant addiction, but there are other ways that aren't buying plants that you can go about fulfilling that. Or like even just, instead of spending money on plants, spending money on the supplies to take care of them. That's another really good thing that you can do in order to help keep yourself on track and taking care of the plants that you already have, rather than getting new ones that you're just gonna have to deal with again later. So yeah, that is how I have somehow managed to go for 6 months without buying any houseplants. It feels absolutely surreal. I cannot believe I have gotten to this point. And like I said, I don't know if I want to continue or not with this plant ban. I'm kind of tempted. So like I said, put the vault, lock, whatever emoji if you want me to stay strong and save the money and not buy plants, or put the plant emoji if you fancy seeing some plant hauls, because let's be honest, who doesn't love a freaking plant haul? I love doing plant hauls. And I thought that as soon as I got to March time, April time, that I was going to need to do a plant haul. But I surprisingly don't feel that. Where I have in past years, like, been waiting for the day to come around where it's like March and I could buy a plant. I did not feel that this year. I don't know, have I gotten over my addiction entirely? Like, my addiction to buying plants. I think it's basically a shopping addiction, but for plants. I don't know, maybe I have. If I have, I'm very proud of myself. Even if I haven't gotten over it entirely, I am very proud of myself. I think this is quite a big accomplishment for me. I don't think this is ever something I thought that I could actually do. I could always strive towards it, but actually accomplishing it is a whole different story. So, yeah, I'm incredibly proud of myself. But yeah, that's it. If you have any questions about this or things that I didn't answer, put your question down below in the comments and I can hopefully address that and help you potentially on your plant ban. I know it's hard. I know it is really hard, but I'm always here for you. Also, you can message me on Instagram and be like, hey, I want to buy plants. Like, can you talk me down? I'm actually surprisingly good at that. Better if I know your collection, because I can be like, what about this plant that I know you have that's struggling? Or like something like that. But yeah, I'm happy to be that help for someone if it does help. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I did. I've enjoyed my last 6 months taking care of my plants that I do have and not buying anymore. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up down below, leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you're having a great day, and don't forget to keep growing. Bye!